So, Chris, are you ready to get today's episode started?
Chris isn't here right now, Mrs. Debbie. It's the Watchers on the Couch. We are back for episode 6 of Castle Rock on Watchers on the Couch. I'm here with my co-host Debbie.
Hello.
We are in a whole different location this week.
But pause.
Okay.
That intro, nobody could see it, but you did the finger movement.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just want everyone to know that it was the full immersion.
It's complete.
Yeah, I felt like it was little Danny talking to me.
Okay, good. I really wanted to get into that character for a minute. This episode is titled what? Filter. Got it. Said it at the same time.
Yeah, we are at a different location.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Sorry, I sidetracked you.
It's all right. Because of life.
First day of school.
Exactly. Well, not for either of us, but for your human child.
My human child. It was his first day of school.
And actually, it worked out time-wise where I could have just waited a little bit.
You know, I actually, when I texted you that, I was going to send another text and be like, you can just come over and I'll leave a key for you. Because I was like, I don't know how long it's going to be. But you're like, you can just come over here. And I was like, yeah, that works too.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. We live not that far from each
no
other.
No traffic at 8 o'clock, so.
Yeah,
there were lots of cops, though.
I actually hit right when morning traffic is going on, and then as soon as I get through, that's when morning traffic stops.
When it stops, yeah.
But all that to say, we're here at my apartment of atrocities.
Mm-hmm. Oh, is that its name?
That's the best thing I could come up with on short notice.
I like it. Ash just somewhere behind me.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so as soon as Debbie knocks on the door, he does a full lap around the perimeter of the apartment and then goes and hides. So...
He's not as sociable as my cats.
No, not at all. Anytime someone knocks, he's very scared. So
anytime anybody knocks at my door, the cats come out and they're like, "Who's here?"
Yeah,
they're like dogs.
They come to the door.
Yes.
Which, while we're on this topic, he may get brave and come out and interrupt us. He likes to get on this table that's between us right now.
There's lots of things he could knock off.
He might end up on the board. We'll see how that goes.
The board is here. I brought it with me.
Sweet. I didn't even ask you to do that, and you did that.
I just brought the dry erase marker because I knew it was going to get all messed up in transit.
So prepared. I love it. So, before we get to this episode, which is entitled Filter, let's do some in-between stuff.
Okay.
I watched a Pet Cemetery documentary that's a couple years old. It's called Unearthed and Untold: The Path to Pet Cemetery. Mm-hmm. If people want to download it, they can find it on iTunes.
I was wondering, is it free?
It is not free. Since I do have a tendency to pirate things, I did look around, couldn't find it. Only place I
paid for this?
I did. It was only to rent it on iTunes is only $3. So I feel like $3 is I can swing that.
You're owed the powers that be your $3.
Yes, for a long time. But yeah, the only place I could find to stream it is iTunes. It could be somewhere else too. I don't really know. I know you can order it on Amazon and stuff too. So there's that. But a couple notes I took from it. It's a pretty comprehensive documentary. Everybody that's involved that's still alive, they contributed. Mm-hmm. So the people, I think it was their first ever film.
That Judd Crandall guy, he passed away a long time ago, right?
Yeah. He died in his 50s, and he looked like he was in his 70s.
Okay.
He's a big giant dude.
So he went back in time?
Yeah, I don't know.
He was Benjamin Buttoning it?
They may have olded him up for the movie.
I don't know. Well. That looked all very natural.
Kind of.
Natural, old, wrinkles.
And then, of course, when he dies, he's very unnatural. There's a mold of his head and stuff. So. But anyway, some notes. Most of the actors have kept the same haircut as when they were in their most popular roles.
Okay.
So, To a T. Every single person that was in this movie has the same haircut. I just noticed it. It was weird.
That Milo kid. Wasn't his name Milo, the one that played the little boy, Cage?
I think so. Yeah.
I thought he had like a weird name, dude.
Well, he's like in his 30s now.
He's super cute still, right? Doesn't he look the same?
I don't know. I don't have a good barometer on such things.
Why can't you tell me if he's cute?
I don't think he's. I mean,
because he was a kind of creepy kid.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he kept those creepy eyes.
He had. Well, okay. So in present day, he has dyed black hair.
Okay.
He kind of looked like a member of Good Charlotte.
Oh, all right. So I gotta Google.
So look him up, and I'll move on. Marky Ramone, the second drummer for the Ramones, is in this documentary for about 5 seconds. And he said that the band had dinner at Stephen King's house, and that was it. They just had a conversation with him and got permission, to... he was trying to get their permission to use their or get them to make a song for the movie. So
right.
They just had a conversation, and I imagine that night was probably pretty awesome.
Can you imagine just having dinner with Stephen King?
Yeah, and it's
and just
being a band dude. I know, like, when you bring your band to a place, it's like a party, sort of. Like, it just becomes a party out of what the situation is. It's 5 people, at the least, coming to your house, so it already is a party.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I just feel like that would be so amazing to pick his brain.
It'd be crazy, yeah. And I know they were fans, so.
So the kid is Miko.
Miko.
I knew it was something different.
Yeah.
And yes, he still looks the exact same.
Does he? Yeah, I guess.
As
I mean,
his kid version does.
I guess I didn't really study his face that much. They didn't have too many clips of interviews with him because he doesn't remember any of it.
Yeah, he was teeny tiny. He was like 2, 3.
Yeah, he said they're like pictures in his brain, but he doesn't really remember.
I'm sure it's really weird to watch yourself in a movie
and
not remember doing the movie.
Yeah. And, when they're a little kid like that, they get guided through the whole process. So
fed their lines.
Yeah, exactly. And then the ending of the movie was a reshoot that the studio suggested. So the studio's like, this ending isn't bloody enough. You should do something crazy at the end, which is where you get, the shot of the wife's face all messed up, and...
So the end scene in the kitchen where the wife comes back is what they wanted to reshoot.
Well, they didn't. They added it.
Oh, they added.
Yeah. So the original.
They ended it with her just dead, and they're like, "No, we need more."
Yeah. No. Original ending from the book is not as scary as that.
I read that book so long ago.
I'm pretty sure she answers the phone in the house and is like, everything's fine, we're gonna be happy together or something, you know what I mean, like we're gonna live as a family. And this, you get the full-on visual of her nasty ass looking face.
It's not gonna work.
Undead face. Yeah. So that is the interesting stuff I pulled from that. Let's see if
on iTunes, everybody, for $3.
Yeah, and it's definitely worth. I would say it is worth the rental. Probably not worth the buy. Like, I don't imagine people would want to rewatch it a whole bunch.
Yeah.
News, first and foremost, this show has been renewed for season 2 already.
Yay!
That kind of took me by surprise. I know the show's good, but
people are digging it.
Usually
all the reviews I see are great.
Yeah, but usually it's not this early that they would do something like that. They wait till the end of the season and announce something like that.
Apparently, this is like Hulu's best show.
Yeah, I think it's the most watched and rewatched show they've ever put on. And I think a lot of that has to do with like trying to dig more in and rewatch and see what you may have missed.
It's a full-blown mystery.
Yeah.
It's not gore or horror. It's just a good old mystery.
And as you go further along, there may be stuff that comes to light in episode 6, like we're about to talk about, that you go back and you look for, the creepy RV that could have been around, or something like that.
Well, I just love how once you solve like one mini mystery, another new like we still have the big mystery of what the hell's going on.
Sure.
But there's all these little mysteries, and it's nice to be like, oh, okay, so that one's solved, but now we have a new one. It's not, the same things being dragged out.
And I'm sure Mike Daffron would probably be driven completely insane by the end of the season if there was just one mystery we were working on the whole time. Because he already has posted this morning, like, he's not happy with how much mystery we're getting piled on.
Oh, really? He's unhappy with mystery?
So, I don't know. We might talk a little bit more about it at the end of the episode, but... Anyway, other King news. Well, but I'm super stoked for season 2. They also sort of mentioned in the article that I read that this might end up being an anthology series, sort of like Fargo, where every season is different actors and a different story in the same universe. That's what
they had said originally it was going to be.
So maybe, they hinted at that again. There hasn't been any actors announced for season 2, so
no,
probably won't be for some time.
I don't really see how they could do like American Horror Story does, where they use the same actors and put them in new characters. I don't see how they could do that for this show.
Yeah, no, and
because it's the same town.
I'm not even sure. They haven't even said that necessarily. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like Fargo is they take a different approach. They just hire a whole new cast,
right?
So that's a thing that could happen too. You know what I mean?
But I like this cast. See, that's the problem I have when they do one shot season,
one and done,
and then they come back with it again. You really like those characters. Like season 1 of Fargo, I loved all those people in it.
Me too.
And I was really disappointed that I didn't get to see more of them.
Yeah, but every season of that's been pretty quality though.
See, I've only seen season 1 because I was
disappointed
you should that I didn't get the same characters.
I understand. You should definitely revisit that show. Though.
They're on season 3 now?
Yeah, they're probably making season 4 now.
Yeah, sounds
I don't
right.
really.
I feel like the timeline. That's probably what it is.
Other things worth mentioning that I don't have a ton of information on. Owen King is going to help with the Stan TV show, so he is Stephen King's son, of course. Mm-hmm. And I don't really have much more on that. Besides that, he's going to be helping with it. And then...
so like a real TV show, not a mini-series?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be a full-fledged show. And that... I think that book kind of necessitates a little more fleshed outness than what the miniseries did. Mm-hmm. I was never like super into the miniseries version of it.
It's a commitment.
It is, and the book is also a giant commitment. The other thing I wanted to mention was that they are making, I believe it's going to be another kind of anthology series sort of thing for Creepshow on the horror subscription service Shudder.
Yes.
And I think you find that on like digital services or whatever. But
yeah, I'm trying to think what cable service I had that had Shudder, because I had Shudder for a while. I don't think I have it.
I wonder
anymore.
if it's exclusive to a certain one or something.
I feel like it's satellite.
It might be, or maybe maybe you'll be able to stream it online too. That would be cool.
That would be nice.
But yeah, so I know that the special effects guy and director of many episodes of The Walking Dead is directly involved with that. I think he's going to do the first episode for sure, and then I don't know besides that. Oh, gosh, I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head, but I can't. Anyway, he is the most famous director and special effects guy that's involved with Walking Dead. Mm-hmm. He also did a bunch of stuff with Tom Savini back in the day, and just, I mean,
I feel like I should know this name that you're talking about, too.
Yeah, he was involved in Evil Dead 2. Mm-hmm. He's involved in Army of Darkness. Damn it.
No, this is going to bother me.
We could Google it, but...
We could.
Let's see here. So, yeah, if you're going to Google it, just look up special effects, Walking Dead director, or something like that. That's all I think I brought for before we start this episode breakdown.
Greg Nicotero?
Yes, that is
See,
correct.
that's what I was thinking in my head, but I'm like, that can't be it.
Robert Kirkman is the only name I could get to go through my head while I was talking about that. So.
And I'm picturing him in my head because he's got the grayish hair that's long, always in a ponytail.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in a bunch of behind-the-scenes footage, because I have, of course, like Blu-rays and stuff of Evil Dead and Army of Darkness.
I'm so mad I didn't shout it out. I knew it.
There's a whole bunch of footage of him with like long blonde hair.
Oh.
Yeah, like he's been rocking that hair for a long time.
Yeah.
But let's get to the episode, shall we?
Yes.
Okay, so as I said before, episode 6, Filter. We start this episode showing some visuals of swampy area.
Yeah, I just wrote down the woods are howling again.
Yeah, so we're hearing those mysterious noises in the woods. We're seeing swampland, we're seeing wooded area, and then it goes to the burial ceremony at the cemetery in town for Henry's dad.
Yes. The reburial.
Right. While this is going on, it is cutting between that and the kid going through Henry's family stuff in the attic or whatever of the garage.
Yeah, just making himself at home.
Yeah, exactly. He's being very intrusive.
But I mean, what else is he supposed to do? They just pretty much locked him up in, the attic of a garage.
But he's also like not normal, so like
things you should think about before you stash a kid in your house.
Exactly.
Hide all your shit.
Or even your garage. He finds a camcorder video of Henry as a kid in the woods. We can only assume it's his dad with him in the woods, because that's what we've seen of that before.
The whole movies
is strangely reminiscent of the flashback scene, except not in the dark. You know what I mean? It just instantly pinged in my head. It's like, oh, we've kind of seen this before.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more of the same thing.
Right. And then back at the ceremony.
And he's the only one there.
Yeah. There's cemetery workers there. There's the pastor, and then there's Henry.
And that's it.
And but then the camera turns around when Henry notices something, and it's the two creeps, and there's a pretty nice RV behind them.
Yeah.
It doesn't look run down or anything like that. So he makes eye contact with the creeps, and then they leave.
Yeah, they
immediately.
skedaddle. They're like, "Oh shit, he saw us. How did he see us?
We're just standing out
here
in the middle of the grass,
exactly,
with a giant RV behind us.
I can't believe he spotted us. We were just staring at him."
And there's in a graveyard, there's only probably one path that goes through it. So you got this giant RV on the only path,
only road, just hanging out.
Oh. He did venture out into the open.
Oh, hi.
That doesn't count as interruption because I pointed him out.
But he gave me the sweet eyes.
He's being very nice.
He gave me the squint eyes.
So then we go to Pangborn with the kid. Alan tells him something has been sold and is in a yard in Syracuse, which I didn't really look up the distance between Syracuse, New York, and
I didn't either.
In Maine, but anyway.
It's apparently a drive.
Yeah, exactly. The kid says he needs to go.
Because it can help Ruth.
Yeah, he says Alan needs to go, I should say.
Yeah.
Pronouns. Alan asks why do they need it to help Ruth? And the kid is very vague.
Yeah, he's like, I can't explain it in a way that you would understand.
Yeah, so...
But then he says... that time is her enemy.
Yeah, and he calls him Alan sheriff.
Yeah,
which he's not. So I don't know. I just question that in my head. Why would he still be calling him sheriff?
Because that's the last way he remembers him.
I guess, but he hasn't been frozen in time though necessarily. I know, he hasn't grown up, but
he hasn't had any other interaction besides with Ward and Lacey up until being found in the cage. So last thing he knows is he was sheriff. Maybe nobody's told him that he's not sheriff anymore.
Sure, it's just strange.
It was strange.
If he's not wearing the uniform and stuff, he should just know he's not the sheriff.
Well, I mean, he wasn't a very good sheriff to begin with.
I guess,
so.
yeah.
Or maybe he was. I don't know. Maybe letting random kids in trunks.
I mean, if you go by the Stephen King backstory of Pangborn, he was a good sheriff.
Yeah.
Like, in the dark half, he comes running whenever shit is going down. You know what I mean?
He comes running, but maybe the way he gets to how he gets to things isn't maybe the best morally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, in the dark half, he does keep stuff from the other troopers. They mostly are incompetent or not around or whatever in the story. Of
right.
Dark
So
half,
I mean, he's doing things his own way.
Exactly. Yeah, he's very much that kind of dude.
Yeah.
So then we're with the kid in Henry's house.
Yeah.
He busts out some Motown on vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
And then he lays in bed.
He starts going through their rooms. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then looks at himself in the mirror for a while.
Which is just odd.
Just
more
lays in her bed.
More odd behavior.
Yeah. He's just making himself at home, which makes you wonder if it was his home.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting thing to think about.
It's the only thing I can think about is what this connection is between the kid and Henry. And
yeah, but it did seem like in that flashback thing that from last episode that seemed like it was his home. Like that was his family.
Other house where the craziness happened.
Yeah. Like I still kind of think he's part of that family, but I don't.
After
that's all
this
guessing.
episode, I have some more theories. I'm sure they're all wrong, but
it's all right.
as most of mine have been.
Yeah, I don't know. I always mean to go back and look at what theories we've made and see how they've followed up, but
they usually fall apart by the next episode.
Okay, well,
usually all of our theories are completely debunked.
I know that dog ended up being nothing.
Well, we don't know. We've only seen him twice. He found the head, and that's all. That's all they've showed us.
Not since episode 2 or 3 or whatever. So then we go to Alan with Ruth. Ruth's getting kind of the same brain test as
everybody gets the same brain test.
Alan has business.
Yeah, so they come home.
Right. Alan says he has business he has to take care of when they're at the office, though.
Yeah.
And he says he's gonna have to leave for a little bit. Ruth says all she needs is a system and she'll be okay. You know what I mean, as far as her brain stuff goes. Mm-hmm. And then there's another hint at a chess piece sort of thing.
Yeah, she gets the chess set out and puts them in her pocket.
Right. So I did actually notice the chess pieces for the first time after they've been in nearly every episode.
Yeah, and now after watching this episode, I'm like, oh, it makes sense why I kept finding random chess pieces.
That's one of the answers we get.
Mm-hmm.
So Henry meets his son off the bus next.
And it's the kid from It.
Sure, yeah. His name's Wendell. Mm-hmm. He gives Henry trouble for not visiting more.
He's sassy.
Yeah, he is. Like, right, he's a teenager, though, I guess.
Yeah,
so.
I put down that he has teen angst temper.
Well, check this out. Henry says he'll fix lunch and tells Ruth and Wendell to catch up.
Yeah, just hang out.
And then he immediately leaves the room.
Just hang out with crazy grandma. It's
just
fine.
I mean, at least talk to her for a little bit, you know.
Make sure she's okay.
Something.
I would have at least opened the door and been like, hey, Mom, let's have a little chat so I can make sure where you're at in your brain before I just leave my son in here with you. I mean, granted, I'm sure she's not going to hurt him, but I don't know, for your son at least, make it not so weird and awkward.
Well, sure, but it's not, it doesn't even seem like he leaves because it's awkward. He doesn't give it even a beat. Henry walks out, kid walks out.
Yeah.
It's that quickly. He doesn't give her a look. He doesn't
I wonder.
There was no awkward tension. There wasn't even enough time for any kind of thing. He walked out immediately.
Was an unsaid thing of we're all going to go down to the kitchen and hang out.
I thought it was.
It was weird.
I thought it was. I'm gonna go make lunch. You catch up with Ruth. You catch up with Grandma for a little bit, and I'll be back with lunch. Mm-hmm. But I guess maybe
they
you're
both
right.
peace out.
Then they both walk out immediately. I'm like, well, he's a pretty big jerk. I don't know. I just thought it was
He
weird.
really loved his cell phone. He had to keep playing that game.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever that game was he was
the
playing.
non-VR game.
Yeah.
He's like, Dad,
you're so
how old are
stupid,
you, Dad? You're dumb. Anyway, Molly, we go to Molly at her office. She's on the phone.
She's trying to really upsell.
Oh yeah,
Castle
she's
Rock.
still more of trying to like make anything good out of Castle Rock.
The guy's like, haven't there been murders? She's like, no, it's fine. Isn't there like a fire going on, burning up the whole town? Yeah, but it's nowhere near it, so it's fine.
I mean, it is inching closer by the day.
But it's fine.
And our air is very tough to breathe.
And the firefighters, they can't do anything because the fire is, not susceptible to water, apparently.
Yeah, so she's on the phone trying to make some deals, sell some stuff, and sees Pastor Deaver with his head all wrapped up, all
zombified,
gross looking, and in the window, and then she looks at her drugs again.
She's like, well, time to look at my envelope full of drugs. It's not looking good.
No, and it's pretty much empty again. I don't know if she's still been taking the drugs or whatever, but
well, she's giving him out to the kid now too.
That's right. Quick thing with her though. That's about all we get.
Yeah, it's very quick.
Then we go to lunch in the kitchen at Henry's again. The kid is looking in the window from the yard. So our Satanish kid is who I mean. Look, he's looking in through the window and sees them in there. Henry goes into the garage, and the kid is back in the garage, and he's watching the home movies again.
But 1 second.
What's up?
We see Ruth standing at the fridge with another figure in her hand.
Oh, yeah.
And she looks like she wants to put it in the refrigerator. But I'm also not sure if she just took it out of the refrigerator, because they don't show that. It's just in her hand with the fridge door open, and Henry keeps looking at her to talk to her, and then she just puts it in her pocket.
Well, she does.
So I'm not sure if she was taking it from in there, or if she was just thinking about putting it in there.
I think maybe this will relate to something that happens later in the episode.
I mean, we understand it more later.
Yeah.
But like at that point, I wasn't sure if it was what she was doing with it.
I just sort of chalked it up to she like carries them around for comfort or something. I didn't really know what to make of it. I just knew that she
at that point, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I wasn't sure if she was putting it in or taking it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole chess piece thing is still baffling to me. I don't know.
And did we look in the fridge? Was there still bread in a can? I didn't look.
I didn't look that time. I don't know if we got a shot of it.
If anybody saw that, let us know.
Yeah. Sharp-eyed watchers.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the scene that he's watching is very similar on video to what we've seen in his flashbacks in previous episodes, Henry's flashbacks. And then we're wondering, what does Henry's dad want him to listen for? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We're still questioning that.
The one other thing that I forgot to say is when Ruth sees the kid through the window, she says, "I thought we buried him in that suit."
Oh, yeah. So there's some very weird...
Because the kid's wearing their clothes. Like, he's just finding clothes and he's putting them on. I'm assuming it's Henry's dad's
That's
old
right,
clothes.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
But yeah, she says, "I thought we buried him in that suit."
So, yeah, it could just be another suit that, you know what I mean? It was in the garage or whatever that he put it on. Or did he put it on when he came in the house? I can't remember. But anyway, it's bound to just be another suit that his dad have. But I mean, do you think he dug up the body and put on the suit?
I'm not sure.
Well, no, they did. They dug up the body.
Well, okay, so this also goes back to what I'm thinking relates to what we haven't seen yet. What Ruth goes into. So I'm not really sure. Maybe they did bury him in that suit.
Yeah, but there's also the exploding casket thing where, like, if he got the suit out of the casket off of the body, it would be like all damaged and wet. Maybe he was
buried in it, and then they took the body out, and it wasn't really him in the casket anymore.
That is something to think about. I didn't even consider that.
I mean, it's Castle Rock. Why wouldn't they just, switch bodies?
And, maybe the Pastor Deaver that Molly is seeing around is like an undead spirit that's pissed off.
Maybe.
Sort of like Poltergeist, where
they took my suit.
Yeah. Give her my suit back.
What is he wearing? He's wearing a suit too, isn't he?
He's got in the visions that she's having.
Yeah.
He's got the the pastor outfit on.
Oh, is it the pastor outfit?
I think so. Pastor, reverend, whatever. Because he's in the church and when she sees him before and he's giving the sermon and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I'm fairly certain that's what it is, though.
Okay.
Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah. Sorry. There was like things going on in that scene.
All that's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
They go to the psych hospital, Juniper Hill. That is a Easter egg from other stories. Mm-hmm. I don't have them off the top of my head, but I know it's been used in other Stephen King stories for sure.
And it looks like a great place. There's crows flying all overhead.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It looks run down.
Okay, so Henry takes the kid there, right?
Great place.
And as soon as they get out of the car, and he's like talking up the place pretty much, Henry is. You see a bunch of crows above, and then one just dive bombs and dies immediately.
And they're like, that's
the third one
happens.
this month or something.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't let that bother you. Come inside.
Oh, no, that's not bothersome at all.
No.
Birds committing suicide.
Yeah, she's just like, it's no biggie. It happens. Come with me.
Yeah. I don't know if listeners would be able to hear that or not.
It's a cat noise. It's a micro cat noise.
I don't know. That might be half of a point.
He's loving on my bag I brought.
Yeah.
He's got to put his smell on it.
Okay, now it counts as interruption because we're talking about.
Sorry.
So, question: how likely is it that the smoke in the air of this town poisoned the crow? Because there's just like a haze over the town now, and up where the crows are flying.
How long did she say that's been happening, the crows thing?
Like a month or something?
A month.
Probably like as soon as the smoke started.
Do you think the crows thing started when the kid was found?
Certainly possible. All this stuff is happening within that time frame.
Yeah,
so. But yeah, I did write that it's probably more complicated than the smoke poisoned the crow.
Or just old age.
Yeah, because, I mean, if the smoke is poisoning the crow, it wouldn't poison one at a time. They would all fly somewhere else. Movies. Yeah.
It's the domino effect.
They would
can't just have it all at one time.
They would just fly somewhere else.
Just blow your load in all one shot. You
right,
know, just all the birds dead. You gotta draw it out. You gotta make it a thing.
You're probably right. So then we go back to Ruth.
Yeah, Henry's like, see ya.
Yep. You're better off here than in my garage because you're being a weirdo. Right. Wendell asks Henry about Henry's adoption, I should say. Mm-hmm. Henry avoids the real parents question. You know, who's your real parents? Where are they? Yeah. And he says your grandpa and grandma are my real parents. Which
and we learned that they had tried to have a baby. They lost a baby, and then they gave up. So they adopted him when he was 5.
Yeah. So
what kind of creepy parents did he used to have?
Yeah, see, there's something...
That kind of reaction.
There's definitely something there. I don't really know what it is or if we'll ever get an answer about his parents, but he definitely avoids it on purpose. Mm-hmm. I never really questioned it before, though. You think, like, yeah, of course he's adopted, but you don't really, like, think to dig into his adoption or anything like that.
Well, no, and he was adopted at 5, so he potentially could have memories of his birth parents.
Something could happen there. And
then also, is there something going on with the baby that died?
Yeah.
Like, does that mean anything?
Yeah, so, I mean, so far Mike is kind of right. We're just adding more mystery the whole time.
Yes, but I like it.
I like it too.
I like asking questions.
It wasn't a negative for me.
No.
Henry asked Ruth about the sound in the woods, and
she's in bed.
Yeah, he's talking about like back when he was a kid. Mm-hmm. You know, his dad taking him out in the woods.
Yeah, and she says they just went hunting and fishing and all
yeah,
that
she sort of like brushes it off,
like she always does.
Exactly. I was just gonna say, like, she kind of has a tendency to do that with really anything, even when it's a serious question. She's just sort of like, oh, you know,
back to this fish I'm playing.
I don't know. She like you can never really tell when she's, unless there's like ominous music that ramps up, you can never tell if something's going on
A
with
tight
her.
zoom in on her face. Yeah.
So then Henry starts getting voices and daytime visions again.
Well, he says, did he ever hear talk about hearing a sound? And Ruth says to go ask your father.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the problem. That's why he's asking you.
She's disconnected.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, but I don't know. That's kind of where we leave that scene off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Henry's getting more voices, and he's getting visions now in the middle of the day.
Yeah, he was
instead
just
of
outside.
like when he's sleeping. It's getting even more intense all the time. Molly and Henry are together in this scene. He asked Molly about his dad taking him to the woods, and he's digging more into this.
Yeah, he wants to know if she ever saw it.
Molly says, "You hated your dad," and goes more in depth with like she knows all about how he felt about his dad and this stuff that was going on back then. Then bombshell is dropped here in the middle of this episode.
Yeah.
Or maybe even early still in the episode. I can't remember how far it is into it, but maybe about half. Molly confesses to pulling the plug on Henry's dad's medical equipment, but she says it was as if Henry's hand was working through her hand.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like one person doing this action, right? And she says that she thought it was a dream at first, but then of course it was not a dream whatsoever.
She realized it was real. But also, what bad timing, because they're trying, like, Jackie Torrance is there, like, they're trying to get the house listed, and, like, that's the time that you felt it was appropriate to just lay this all out there? You couldn't have done it, at a different time?
I just think, like, she's already been, like, on the cusp of selling him before. And
just
now,
really
like, they finally... Timing. Oh, yeah, totally. Like, they're in the middle of doing stuff, But I feel like if they're ever going to pay this off or whatever, if they're ever going to explain this, like, they can't be together every episode having conversations and not get to this eventual moment. You know what I mean?
And what does it take for like him to believe her?
Oh yeah,
because
totally.
he obviously totally believes her because he says, and I quote, "You're fucking crazy."
Yeah,
like
Henry thinks she's nutso.
Yeah.
So like I said, last episode when we were talking about it, like he still is not there.
No, I mean, does she have to punch him in the face every time that she tells him so he gets it?
I think you and Mike were sort of the opinion like, well, now it seems like he's sort of coming around to it because she explained to him every thought that he had or whatever.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I don't know, because he still sort of seems like
he's very thick-headed.
Yeah, exactly. And like Mike was saying, like as a lawyer, you would think he'd be a little smarter about this. Like he'd ask.
That's probably why he's so thick-headed, because he's a lawyer
Maybe,
and he thinks he knows everything, and everything's so cut and dry and black and white, right and wrong. And
it is a thing in Stephen King stories. There's always one or two main characters or side characters who are very not willing to accept the supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, for example, even in the latest book that you put out, The Outsider, there's a guy who becomes a main character in the book who's very involved with the plot all the way through, and, it's spelled out to him like the only way that this could have happened is if there's something beyond explanation, some supernatural something is happening. And he's still like, no, I will not accept that. It's like, well, what does it take? Jesus.
It takes a car eating you.
Yeah, exactly.
To believe.
Well, yeah, so I don't know. Henry, get it together, man.
Somebody needs to shake him.
Yeah, so I don't know. Something does happen to him. I don't know if it's a shaking, but we'll get there.
And how weird for her if that's how she experiences things. Mm-hmm. Like, he felt it so much, that hatred to his father, and she felt it through him so much that it made her go over there and just kill him, and she was doing it with him.
Yeah.
Like, she could see his hand in her hand. Like, how fucked up of a life does she have?
Right. And
No wonder she's taking pills.
Right. But she said, like, you wanted him dead.
Yeah.
So I wasn't the one that wanted him dead. I just did it because your hand made me do it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Like, he was acting through her.
It's their connection's even more complete than we previously thought. You know?
Yeah, because the whole time he was lost, she felt him.
Right.
And he was gone for 11 days, so...
Very weird.
Yeah.
But she says, like, you felt relief at a certain point. You know what I mean? I don't know. The whole thing's crazy.
Is that relief when
after
Mr. Deaver,
he was done?
fell over? Well, after he got pushed off the cliff?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Like, was that his relief?
She sort of is implying that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's scared at first, then that happens, then he's okay. Yeah. Or at least, you know...
Because the danger's gone.
Right. And we still think he's probably in the dimension with that dog somewhere. That's what I think. Listeners never addressed it.
So yeah, nobody said anything about the dog.
There was anything about the dog, so that's okay. I'll just take that one as a mark in the loss column.
No, it's going to pay off.
It'll come back around.
Yeah. And you'll be like, in your face.
We'll rejoice. Just taking a look at the cat staring at the corner for no reason. That's something that they do. They just look at things for no reason.
Really close to their face.
Okay, so let's move on.
Yes.
Pangborn is at the junkyard. Mm-hmm. We assume we're in Syracuse now?
Yeah.
He's probably at the one they were talking about earlier. He breaks in through a gate that's not the front door.
Nope.
Then we go back. We're cutting back and forth between there.
It's a very quick scene we see of him.
Yeah. Henry and Pangborn's kind of searching around.
Yeah. Which, did you have a theory at this point of what he was searching around for?
No, I had no idea.
I assumed he was looking for Warden Lacey's car. Because that was the only thing I could think of that would be at a junkyard.
The only car, that I should have put that together, but I didn't until he dusted off the bumper. I was like, oh, yeah. I'm not smart. Okay, so we cut between the junkyard and Henry at home. Wendell is with Ruth.
And they're playing a very sad-looking chess.
Yeah, and I should mention Henry is like, I got to go take care of something. I'm going to leave you two together again. Hopefully you don't walk out of the room immediately.
Yeah, just have fun.
So they're gathered around the chessboard.
And did you see the Tabasco piece in place for a chess piece? I think it's salt or pepper shaker, because she's been taking all the pieces.
That's right. Yeah.
So they can't really play chess.
They mentioned that there's a bunch of missing pieces or something, and
the kid's like, "What's with all the pieces gone?"
So she says that it feels like life is going in a bunch of different directions, and it used to be that she could view life as everybody else does, where it's like in a straight line, and it's not really like that for her anymore. The way she processes stuff.
Yeah, she says, we've been here before, we'll be here again.
Yeah, so
life
that was
used to go forward.
Sure.
And she's saying it's not. She's reliving things.
Right. So that's very creepy. And
it's something she hasn't told anybody, because she tells Wendell, can I tell you a secret? And will you keep your mouth shut? Mm. So nobody else knows that this is how she's viewing life.
So weird. And there could be a secret beyond that she's like something beneath all of that, or she just doesn't want to scare, her family members or Pangborn or whoever.
So because this place is very messed up and anything can happen, I almost want to believe that she's viewing different timelines. I almost want to believe it, because she says that she uses the chess pieces as a coping mechanism and like breadcrumbs. So she knows what reality she's in. So if she opens the fridge and sees the chess piece, then she knows she's here in the now. Yeah. Because she just now put that there.
Yeah, so I took it as just like what room that she's in. You know what I mean? But she, I guess you're saying that she goes even further beyond that in the way she's explaining it.
Yeah, well, because, all throughout the season, like, she keeps thinking that the dog's alive. Yeah, and I know that she has dementia, but I'm just wondering if they're making it seem like it's dementia, but it really is something paranormal.
Right. And earlier she mentions the suit.
The suit, yeah. So I feel like maybe she's not as crazy as people think she is.
Totally, yeah. And she's just being pulled.
Yeah, there's something wrong. Yeah, and she just keeps going into like a weird timeline. Because I believe anything can happen in this town.
Oh yeah,
and
totally.
Until they prove me wrong, I'm gonna have wild theories.
And Henry disappeared from the quarry in the woods around the quarry for days and was not dead.
Right. So where did he go?
So our original theory is another dimension. So that would totally line up with the stuff with Ruth, like another dimension sort of thing is going on.
And remember last week, Nick was very adamant on the fact, and I don't know if anybody debunked this for us yet, but he was very adamant that when Henry was found, he had a chess piece. Mm-hmm. Like when Alan found him in the woods. Now, if, again, I don't know how he would have this chess piece because it seemed like she got this chess when they were older in life, so I don't know about that. But I do find it weird that Henry, in adult life, keeps finding them.
Yeah, that is, I mean, it's definitely not something that we'd be able to figure out yet. No. But it's at least something to
I feel
take
like
note
there's
of.
more to it.
Oh, totally,
I don't want to blame it all on dementia.
I highly doubt that that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to believe that I'm going to believe her and take what she says as real until I'm proven otherwise.
Yeah.
Which it'll probably be next episode because that's how it seems to go.
So yeah, that's kind of where we leave that off. But Henry's in the woods with the camcorder, so that's where he needed to go. Mm-hmm. Henry goes back to the woods where the video is showing that they're at, and he's able to pinpoint it by, some no trespassing markers on
rocks and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So everything has kind of stayed the same in those woods,
Yeah, he's using the old footage as a map to find out where they went.
And the camera dies on him.
Like they do.
Sure, exactly.
And I like how he tried to fix it by taking the battery out and then immediately putting it back in.
Well, yeah, that is one of the ways that you...
I was surprised he didn't blow on it.
Like a Nintendo game or
something.
I mean,
shake it.
Those are all stuff that we would have done with that old technology. Is like, maybe the battery is just hot.
Yeah. Maybe it's not really dead like it's been telling me for the past 30 minutes. Mm-hmm.
So then we flash back and we catch up with Pangborn again. Mm-hmm. He's sneaking around. He seems to give up, and he goes back to his truck. And on the radio, they're talking about a fire at the psych hospital.
Yeah.
So right away, shit goes nuts at the hospital.
8 staff people and 6... So 8 staff and 6 patients died.
Yeah, and then some escaped.
4 escaped.
Which we can only assume the kid is one of them.
Mm-hmm. And only assume that the kid did this.
Had something to do with it.
I mean...
They had to have touched him in order to put him wherever.
Right.
So...
Yeah.
You gotta...
Somebody went on a murder spree. It seems like.
Ridiculous. Alan sees what he's looking for, and he gets out of the truck and jumps up on this tow truck that has the car from Lacey's accident.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all smashed up with a bunch of other cars, and the tow truck guy does not want to let it go.
No.
So Pangborn's like, I gotta save Ruth. Like he has any idea. This person has no idea who he's talking about, but he does pull out a giant gun. So he's like, okay.
Yeah. And then he says, it's mine now.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great.
And then, I don't know, a little bit of follow up on this later, but he comes back later and says, it's going to be shipped here tomorrow. How can he trust the person who you just held up to ship the car?
Maybe
that's a little bit of a hole for me, but it's not something
I know,
that I'm
because it's
gonna
not like
harp
he
on.
still has the gun to his head and
Yeah.
is forcing him to do it. Because the guy seemed very adamant that Fat
He
Tony
would have
had
to-
bought this car
He
and
would,
that he
if
couldn't
he's
let it
gonna
go.
pull a gun on him, he would take the tow truck.
Yeah.
And take it back himself. But then he'd leave his Bronco there, and he can't do that.
And who's to say these people aren't going to come fuck him up now because he just pulled a gun on one of their...
So that a little bit of a hole for me, but that's okay. I generally don't like to poke holes because in any
No,
show,
it bothered me too.
Yeah, I was like, well, all right.
How is this coming?
So yeah, there was some very intense synth music here though. That sort of sounded like the Terminator.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that. Just a side note. So then we go back home, and Ruth spills her pills everywhere.
All of them, all over the kitchen floor.
Molly is a little more careful with hers, I think, than Ruth is. She just throws them everywhere.
Well, because Molly has to pay by the pill for that shit.
Yeah.
And that's like gold to
Ruth
her.
is getting them from the government or something.
Right. You get those every month. That's
yeah.
You can lose a few.
She has an embarrassment of riches when it comes to pills. So the kid walks in while Ruth is trying to gather up her spilled medicine. And he takes off his shoes.
Takes off his shoes, coat.
So
He's like Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
He's abiding by the rules set of the man of the house with no click clacks.
Just very, very weird. I knew
like
something
he
is
lived there.
Something's there with that. I don't really know. I'm starting to think more he has an even greater psychic connection to people in this town than we thought. Mm-hmm. You know, like Henry and Molly and his mom. Like, I think he knows and feels what all these people are feeling. And so, like, that's maybe how he knows what the old rule of the house was. No shoes or whatever. But yeah, it's worth noting that he does take off his shoes. House rule.
He's like Mr. Rogers.
So then we go back to Henry at the woods at night.
Yeah, he's lost.
Yeah, he's lost. This is actually, we mentioned this a couple episodes ago when we were talking about Mark Bernardin being a writer on the show and how he said he wrote this episode. And
that's right. This was the episode.
Yeah, he said he was kind of, he regretted that he wrote woods at night in the script because
it's a lot of woods at night.
Yeah, and they're shooting all night.
Yeah.
To make sure they get all this stuff. So anyway.
And he does the cell phone thing where you raise it above your head to get it just a little bit closer to those satellites.
And it doesn't work.
No, there's still no GPS or signal in the woods.
So then he sees a campfire. And
okay, so let's pause.
Okay.
If you're walking through the woods and you used a camcorder to get you there, you get lost, it's now pitch black, you come across a random person because you're just seeing their back at a campfire, and that's all you see. Do you approach?
No, not me, no. No, I don't.
Do you stay lost? Do you stay lost and then just like very slowly back into the brush again?
I actually think it depends on a couple of things.
Okay. If
cold is it? Do you have frostbite by this point that you are finding a campfire? Because if you are lost, you have no way of calling anyone to have them pinpoint your cell phone, your location. You have nothing. And you see a campfire, even if there is a person there and you're about to die from the cold, your body may just carry you over to the fire.
But he was not dying of almost cold.
Sure, right. This is a different situation.
He's just walking through the woods.
He's just being kind of a dummy. And I think he's a little more adventurous than we are.
Do you think in that moment he was like, I finally found where I needed to go? Or he was just like, thank God somebody that can get me out of here?
I don't think he's looking for somebody to get him out necessarily. I think like he just doesn't know why he's up there, and he's intrigued by
somebody else being up there.
Yeah, this random person being in the woods, also random as he is in the woods.
They came better prepared. They at least have a fire.
Sure, and then I think maybe when he sees who it is by the fire, that's what carries him over closer. is that I saw this person earlier today. They were creeping me the fuck out at the cemetery.
Spoiler alert, it's Macaulay Culkin's younger brother.
Yeah, and I also want to make a note that this actor, Macaulay Culkin's older brother,
I think it's younger brother.
Younger brother, fine. He was in another series. I'm not sure if it was on Hulu or what, because I didn't watch it legally. But it was about the Waco hostage situation.
Oh, okay.
And it was a great show, pretty well researched, and but it was heavily dramatized, like, because they don't know everything that went on inside that place.
Mm-hmm.
While that whole hostage situation was going on. But he was, all that to say, this actor was amazing in it. He played one of like 3 or 4 people that ended up escaping from that place before the government lit it on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Or another theory is the people lit it on fire from the inside. So who knows what happened. We're not here to solve the mystery of Waco.
So this Culkin is Rory Culkin.
Okay.
And
he's getting a lot of work right now because he's very good.
He's the youngest of 8 children. So he's the youngest of the Culkins.
Gotcha. Yeah, so he plays, we find out he's Willie.
Mm-hmm.
And his friend, he's a black gentleman named Odin Branch,
which is a badass name.
Yeah, and Odin is one of the podcasts. I should mention that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
I wrote. You know how I described him? I wrote one creeper, Willie, Culkin boy, and other. I put Neo creeper because he reminded me of like the Matrix when he like turned around and walked with his long jacket.
Oh yeah.
He reminded me very Neo-esque.
Very mysterious as well.
Yeah, but he comes with a cool name, Odin Branch.
So these are the RV creeps from earlier, as we mentioned.
And Odin is deaf.
Right, and he's signing while Willie is explaining everything he's signing. Yeah. And he actually tells Henry, Odin does, through Willie, that if you speak to me, I can read your lips, and we can have normal conversations. So that actually makes it easier for everybody watching.
Right.
There's a whole operation going here that makes it easier for everybody. Odin, it turns out, knew Henry's dad.
They shared the same beliefs.
Yeah, and says that they're out here to listen in the woods.
Because that's their church.
Sure. And he explains that the sound that they are listening for, Henry's dad called it the voice of God, which goes back to what Lacey said.
Right.
Then we get into some of Odin's crazy-ass theories.
Okay, so first off, I got kind of tuned out at this point.
Okay.
I wrote down that he says, most people can't hear it or they do only once. A few people hear it constantly, depending on your geographic location. And then they start talking about the schisma.
Yeah, the schisma is
like,
the schisma is their name for this sound.
The voice of God
that is like permeating the universe.
Yeah.
And the note I wrote on it, in what kind of a truncated version of this dialogue that he gives here, is that the sound is the universe trying to reconcile all possible nows, different dimensions existing at once. So that goes right in with our theories as well, of like there's a bunch of separate realities happening all at once, and this sound is the emanation of that happening, and the universe trying to make sense of itself in some way, or like account for it, or I don't know. He says reconcile, so
right.
Take that for whatever it means, universe-wise.
Do you think that when the kid went to that house and heard the fight that broke out at that birthday party, like I almost wonder if that was happening now, but not in this reality?
Yeah, I mean, certainly.
Like maybe it wasn't his house.
Certainly possible.
But he's picking up on a alternate dimension of what's happening in the town.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know if we'll ever get that answer or not, but that's definitely something to think about. Any instance of stuff that is going on that is weird, like Molly seeing the Reverend around, like any kind of instance like that, you question whether or not it's real now.
Yeah.
Or question whether or not it's like if it's
like
another
you
dimension,
accept it's real, but you're like, is it really here or is it there?
Yeah, because if it's another dimension, does that mean it's also real?
Right.
So, and then are they just visions? Then they're certainly not real. They're imagined.
Right. But if we say it's all really happening, then it's all real to a point.
This is a lot of layers to this.
Yeah.
Are you getting a headache?
It's so early. It's making my eye itch.
Trying to make sense of this. Debbie started like rubbing her brow like, dear Lord, what have we got ourselves into? Okay, so he
need
says,
a bigger notebook.
Yeah. You do have a brand new one, though.
I do.
Odin says that the sound is getting louder. Or not even just a sound, but the universe itself, or whatever, as being the schisma.
The schisma, yeah.
I feel like we're going to be saying schisma a lot from here on out. Mike, we understand your frustration. It's going to be okay. We promise.
I don't promise.
See, the thing, before we continue on, I want to lay this down, and I did mention this on the board earlier, but people have already read this for days before it'll ever air on here. But for people that are just listening and not really reading up on the board that much, they said that they're gonna, and I think we may have mentioned this last episode too, is that the creators have said it's structured in 3 acts. Mm-hmm. And the second act in a traditional story is when things go wrong, the story ramps up, the crazy comes out even more, and then Act 3 is where we start getting a resolution. Mm-hmm. We're in episode 6 right now.
So we're in 2.
Yeah, we're less than 2/3 through it. So if we have 4 episodes left, that means we're definitely not to Act 3 yet. There is not going to be any resolution, so therefore we're going to get some answers later. At 6, there has to be a certain amount of a bridge quality to this episode that gets us from one place to the next, and It just brings us to episode 7. And he actually said that he felt like he could just skip this episode. I'm like, well, I don't think that's necessarily true, because they're definitely got some reveals in this thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, but anyway, Mike, all that to say, hang in there, buddy.
Okay, so not to spoil anything for what I've seen for next episode, but I feel like next episode is still going to be gathering more information, and then 8, 9, and 10 I feel like is going to be the payoff episodes.
For me, that I would assume 8, 9, 3, or 8, 9, 10. 8, 9, 10. 3 was back. 8, 9. I guess I was thinking the last 3 in my head as I was saying it. Episode title
8, 9.
Gotta write it down so I don't forget.
8, 9, 3.
Too funny. 8, 9, 10 are the last act, or maybe even 9 and 10. You know what I mean? It just depends on how they want to structure this thing. So
yeah, let's
move forward, shall we?
Okay. In 8, 9, 3, go.
3, 2, 7. As I said, Odin's been saying it's getting louder. Henry's dad, created a device the last time there was a large uptick like this.
Yeah, like he created the schematics. He got the plans for it.
Right, and it's called The Filter, which is the episode title. Mm-hmm. I feel like it also is a double reference to the kid, though, because the kid is hearing he's the filter for the entire pain of the whole town.
Yeah.
So, just thought I mentioned that. Odin says he built it using the schematics that Henry's dad left before he died.
Right. And it's in the RV.
So then, they pan to the RV. I'm like, what is happening?
I'm just imagining it's been tricked out like a DeLorean.
DeLorean is the first thing that came to my head too, is because
Yeah.
like when you think some kind of device and then you show an RV, it's like, well, okay, we're going back to the future, I guess.
Yep.
And we did mention earlier that RV looks pretty fucking nice.
It does on the outside.
They keep it really looking nice. I don't know what kind of jobs these dudes have.
I don't know, and they're parking it in the woods, and it's still looking good.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Is that another hole?
how did they get it there?
Is there a road that leads up into the woods that an RV
I don't
can
know.
take?
Don't you think Henry would have known if there was a road in the woods? Wouldn't that have been like the first thing he would have taken?
Why didn't he take the most direct route?
So,
Instead, he's just wandering around and his cell phone's dying.
and they're out there driving through the woods in an RV
That's so
with
funny.
low-hanging branches.
Oh, yeah.
It's totally fine.
That RV should be fucked right now.
So the RV's got to be mystical. It just pops in.
What if it rains? The RV is not getting out of the woods.
No, it's
There's
stuck.
no way.
Okay.
That thing weighs a ton.
All right. So there's got to be a road.
There must be. So they go.
Had we not focused on how nice the RV was, I never would have questioned. I'm like, yeah, it's just there. But then we had to really think about how it looked.
I
I'm
don't
like, but how does it stay
understand.
this way?
I didn't even question it that much, but now it's really like a sticking point.
Because he's lost, and they
Yeah.
just drove there.
I don't get it. So then they go in the RV, and in the back of the RV, and like the lounge, where the lounge area would be.
Oh, I was thinking they converted like the bedroom.
Or maybe it is a bedroom. There's a sort of soundproof room.
Yeah, with rubber spiked padding.
Yeah, it has the wedges on the wall like you would see in a recording studio. And those kind of like bounce the sound waves off. It deadens the echoes, basically, is what those are used for.
Yeah.
Here it is, they completely cover ceiling to floor, everything in that little room, right?
Well, what do you think that would feel like to lay on?
I don't know. That'd be probably comfortable. Or
Like acupuncture?
massage your neck a little bit.
You're just in there like rolling around.
Yeah. Well, it turns out Henry's going to have some time in there, apparently.
Okay, but Henry is just the biggest dummy in the entire world.
Well, here's the thing, is that at first he's not.
No, and
he's
I write, Henry won't be kidnapped.
Yeah.
Peer pressure don't do nothing for him.
Henry's like, I am not getting in that room. He says it like there is no way possible he's
right,
ever
and I
getting
was
in
like,
that room.
good for you, Henry.
Yeah, this is the Henry that we love.
You will not be kidnapped.
The audience is like, I mean, as soon as they get in that RV with these two creeps,
I'm like, he's going to be kidnapped.
exactly. So when you're watching it, you're like, Henry, come on now.
I know, and I wrote in here, I'm like, don't be kidnapped now.
Don't be stupid.
Yeah.
We see this coming from a mile
and
away.
And I wrote stranger danger.
Yeah. We're like, okay, well, Odin. So then Odin is saying all the right things here.
Oh,
He's really speaking Henry's language, and you can hear.
He says this is how you can cleanse. You get the schisma. All that's left is a schisma. You hear the rumors now, but once you're in there, it'll just filter the truth.
Yeah, you can.
And that's all Henry wants.
You can see
truth.
him being convinced. Like his face changes.
Yeah. They're just handing the candy out to him. They're like, we got candy and puppies in this room.
Yeah, and neither is in that room. All it has is massagey spikes on the wall. So.
But guess what happened?
That's maybe what put him over the edge. He's just like, well, I could use a nap.
A nice quiet nap.
Yeah, so this is where it really clicked in. I was like, okay, this is all bad.
Okay, so before we got to there, I wrote down, because as he's talking, we see a branding tip. And I'm like, branding tip? Why would you need a branding tip?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Well, now we know why.
Yeah.
Because they shove that shit in their ears.
Right.
To be cleansed.
Yeah.
Or corrected. Isn't that what they said? To be corrected? Yeah.
Yeah, he says...
Yeah, he needs to correct Willie.
And he says, make you not deaf. Right? Henry says that. And then before Odin does what he's about to do. He's like, not deaf, perfect.
Yeah.
And then you see this crazy smile, like, look on his face, and he slams the door shut.
And it's a safe.
And Henry's in there, and he locks him in there.
And it's a safe.
Terrible.
And I wrote, told you so.
Yeah, exactly.
Stranger danger. You do not go in there.
And
then he just hears, like, major ringing in his ears.
Right. So this is where we get, like, and then actually in the subtitles it said cacophony. So it's just a crazy cacophony of sounds and visions, worse than anything Henry's had to deal with before.
Right.
And after that sort of ramps up for a little bit, you get all kinds of visions and voices and stuff that we've heard before.
Yeah,
probably something in there that we haven't either. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't yet. I don't know for sure because I wasn't, like, super zoned in on it, but
the only thing I wrote was, we hear, do you hear it now? Where'd you go? We see the playing with the truck in the dirt, the cage.
Mm-hmm.
We hear screaming, and he's just holding his ears.
Yeah, so that's where that leaves off. We go to back to Ruth and Henry's childhood home. Alan arrives to the house.
Mm-hmm.
He sees the kid in front.
He says, I got the car.
Yeah, he says they're going to deliver it, like we mentioned earlier, which is okay.
Because they're just so kind-hearted people.
Yeah. So then Pangborn notices that there's blood coming down from one of his arms. Like, he's wearing long sleeves and you see blood escaping down his hand.
Well, right before that, though, the kid starts talking and Alan doesn't understand what he's saying.
Right.
Because he says the kid says there will be a monument to Lacey, to everyone who helped put me in that cage.
Sure, yeah.
And that's when he noticed, because he was like, you said you would help her.
Oh, yeah, that's
And then he notices the blood and he was like, why would you leave me in that trunk, Sheriff? And I'm like, oh, snap.
Yeah, so finally we're seeing the kid do some heinous shit. And not just like on the sly. Not just like on the sly at the prison.
That's a kitty cat.
That's number 2. Yeah, so Pangborn realizes there's something very wrong going on inside. He asks him, where's Ruth? And then he doesn't say anything, or what. I don't.
Runs off.
You just see more of the blood, and then you see Alan running inside. So
and the house is destroyed.
Yeah, the house is completely wrecked, top to bottom.
There was a huge struggle.
Yeah, or
broken glass. The oven's on. Like the kitchen's.
Yeah, whatever happened, it was crazy in there for a little bit. So smoke alarm's going off. There's a pan burning on the stove. That's reminiscent of what Ruth did earlier in the series, where
she just leaves things on.
Yeah, she just leaves stuff wherever. She's in the backyard while there's stuff on the stove.
Right.
And while we're looking at the burning pan on the stove, that's where the episode leaves off.
Mm-hmm.
So there's lots of questions left on the table here. That it ramped up really, really big, and then cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
So, from the behind the scenes featurette, they said there's themes of imprisonment throughout. Kid in the cage, Henry in isolation. Now he's in a chamber. He's also in a sort of pseudo cage.
He did that to himself.
Yeah, he's a huge dummy in that moment.
I don't feel that bad for him.
Well, he
did so many things wrong. He, first of all, could have taken his car out to the woods, apparently. And then he walks up on the creepy strangers who've been following him and then just inexplicably trusts them. Like, he trusts them more than
they convinced him.
I know, but they convinced him so much easier than Molly has, And
I think it's all his intrigue got the best of him.
Dummy.
Like, the unloading of information.
Oh, I know
him.
why. I'm just saying he's just a big fat dummy because he has somebody else that's been telling him actual things that are happening.
Yeah.
And he don't want none of that shit.
Yeah. Well, this, and I know I'm about to nerd out right here for a second, but this sort of reminded me of, like, the Han Solo trapped in carbonite kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we get one of our main characters that we love so much, and now he's in the most dire situation that he's ever been in, It's textbook Act 2 stuff. You know what I
Is
mean?
Molly going to be able to hear him?
I mean, I sort of think that. Well, let's see.
Because if she heard him in another dimension when he was gone for those 11 days, if that's where he was, then she should be able to hear through some steel, right?
I did sort of write down as one of my theories for this episode, which is why I paused for a second when you said that, is that I think it's possible that being in this chamber and locked away is going to unlock something in Henry that he was previously unable to unlock.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
I'm sure it's gonna help him.
Like, you know, there sort of in other stories as well. It's like when they get in their place, their peaceful place or whatever they have to do to tell themselves, like Danny in The Shining has to think about certain things to get him in the right zone.
Right.
To be able to use The Shining to his best ability. So, like, maybe this being trapped in here ends up being something that helps him.
I'm sure it is.
Immediately, it doesn't, because it's all bad.
Yeah.
He's getting only crazy visions and stuff, and no.
I don't know how he's survived this long.
Yeah.
Without being kidnapped.
I don't either. So, and they also mention in that featurette that the kid is punishing Pangborn for the past, finally. Which we weren't really sure if he was going to ever do up until this point, but now, and we aren't really sure how to feel about how Pangborn treated him. You know what I mean?
I say good for the kid.
Yeah, but at the same time, we love Pangborn.
No, I'm on the kid's side.
Well, okay, yeah. As far as the kidnapping goes, but I don't feel like Pangborn was totally guilty in that situation. I know he did, like, he left a kid in the trunk, but I have a strong feeling it's more complicated than that. You know what I mean?
I would agree.
I don't know what it is.
I'm just
purely on a base level, though.
I'm rooting for the kid.
Yeah, but like, police officer leaves a kid in a trunk, that's bad. If you just say it like that.
FYI, that's not a good idea.
No, that's a terrible idea. But if you think he's Satan, maybe the trunk is better than, you know, other places. Wandering around the town, touching people.
But he's just going off one man's word that this is Satan.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
Yeah.
Oh boy. He's creeping up. He's creeping up the count on the
He's
board.
Probably like, I really want to sit in that chair that person's in. That's where my mom sits.
I'm not really sure. I don't want to encourage it. We're almost to the end. If interruptions happen, they will happen
on their
own or
I know. I just want to touch the kitty.
At his will. You will be able to in a minute. So other theories that I have, and then you can throw out something if you have something. I don't think Ruth is dead. I think that she's just missing right now. Where? No idea.
She's probably in her bedroom.
I mean, maybe.
Like everything's fine.
She took the bed before the kid could take the bed.
He
That's what the fight was about. Mm-hmm. He came in. He wanted to get back in the bed again.
Yep.
And put on more Motown. She's like, no, bitch. It's almost bedtime.
You know,
she runs to the bed, takes his spot. He's like, it just destroys everything.
It destroys everything.
I don't think that's a good theory, but what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure the blood is his, and she probably, through the fit of rage, she destroyed everything. He just went outside because he didn't know what the fuck to do.
Maybe. I think that blood that's on his arm is his.
Yeah, for sure. He got cut from glass.
Something. What else? We already mentioned the Henry unlocking his true power thing. Pangborn. I think Pangborn's going to go apeshit on the kid as much as he can, but then the kid is probably going to fight him back or something.
All he has to do is touch him.
So, yeah, but I think now that, like, the kid has done fucked up this house, or either Ruth did or he did, or the combination of both, the kid might be more brazen with his powers now.
Maybe.
Like, he goes around town just fucking shit up. Mm-hmm. I think that would be cool. Maybe I just want to see that happen.
He just uses his Jedi mind power.
Yeah. Pangborn hopefully doesn't touch him. I wrote that. Mm-hmm. Underline. I think we'll get more Odin and Willie as well. I don't think, like, there's no way
they pieced out. They were like, we were in this one episode.
Well, we got him in there, so
see ya.
Yeah. Maybe they're teamed up with the kid somehow.
Maybe.
And they're like, well, he kept me in a cage. Let's see how Henry feels about it, you know? But that's kind of all the theories and stuff that I wrote down.
I sprinkled mine throughout the episode.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I think of them as I say them.
Yeah, see.
I think that's how talking works. I think of them as I say them.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure if anybody was aware.
I
don't put a lot of thought into the things I say.
Yeah, and also, you know, you didn't say 893 or whatever I said earlier though. So
this is true.
I still think you're higher than me on the intelligence level of this conversation so far. What else?
Do you want to hear what's happening in the next episode?
Oh, before we do that, the episode's not over yet, but officially Kat is on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Ash is on the board for the cat interruptions.
Is that a third one?
It didn't stop me from talking. Oh boy. Okay, well this is. So clearly that's 3. Wow, he's yeah, dude, definitely take a picture of that.
Ash. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, Ash is on the board. We've yet to see how far he will climb. To be determined, right?
Right. TBD.
The Church Creed Award winner for this episode. We didn't have a whole lot of contribution from people that haven't already won one. Mm-hmm. There was a little bit of talk today, like I said, about episode 6 and stuff, but I kind of want to save that for later.
Well, Sarah commented, because we had talked about her in the one podcast, and she commented and said she would appreciate 2-hour episodes.
Oh, that's right.
And then you had that Instagram feedback from
it's
Turtle Girl. Am I saying that right?
Turtle Girl something.
It's numbers.
Yeah. Her name's Nicole.
Nicole.
So it's either between Sarah and Nicole. Mm-hmm. I feel like Sarah had more commentary on our actual show.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah said, like you said, she would appreciate a 2-hour episode. What she didn't know at that point is that we had already done one. Yep. And we delivered it probably like the next day after Sarah posted that. So awesome for Sarah. Arguments for Nicole for this week. She was the first to immediately comment. It was like within a couple hours of me even putting the episode up. She said she was looking forward to episode 5. And then that, because she had just watched it. Mm-hmm. And then that, when she listened to it, she's like, I can't even with this trivia.
Because we were so bad.
And that's within a couple hours of it being posted, and it was 2 hours long, so she must have listened like as soon as it got posted.
Is she referencing because we were so bad at it?
Yes, she was mentioning, she just mentioned overall, like, I don't even know what to say about this.
It's terrible. I am not good being put on the spot.
We were both super put on the spot. We both...
I am full of useless information.
Yeah.
I know lots of really random trivia facts.
Totally.
I know lots of
Stephen King stuff.
Right. I know lots of things, but when you try to put that to the test, you will see none of it.
I liken it to when you're watching. I don't know if you ever have watched Jeopardy before.
Of course, I was a child that was sick.
Yeah, when you watch Jeopardy, and a thing comes up where you have no idea what it even is. You know what I mean? Like,
what is?
Yeah, but you have no idea like what the category is even talking about, and these people on the screen are answering every question in 2 seconds or whatever, half a second. And I felt like that with it. I am aware of it. I've seen it. I've not read the book, and I haven't seen the old movie in a really long time, so I'm less aware of that than other Stephen King things. It just so happened that's the one Mike picked. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and anytime like I do like trivia and we go places for trivia, I clench up there too.
Yeah.
Like there was book trivia, and I'm like, this is something I will definitely know. And
then...
words, I just forgot everything I've ever known.
So I don't know. It's kind of up for debate between her and Sarah. I don't know what if you're leaning more towards one of them.
Let's go with Sarah.
Okay.
And we'll tell Nicole.
Yes.
We'll tell Nicole that if she would like her very own audience participation certificate, then keep bringing it.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So she gets second place this week. Sorry, Nicole. But just so you know, and for all the listeners who are unaware of the award, which by now you should be, I don't know why you started with episode 6. Yeah.
Don't do that. Go back.
The Church Creed Award for audience participation qualifies you for a bunch of prizes. Mm-hmm. One is the cat trophy. Second one is 1408 on DVD.
Yes.
Third one and probably final one, haven't really, unless we happen upon something else, is going to be the Stephen King thing of your choice within reason. We're not going to buy you something super expensive, but
we're not buying you his house.
No, we're not doing that for sure.
And we're not sending you an all expenses paid trip to meet him either.
No, but we're thinking like book, hardcover book, maybe like a Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So what? It's winner's choice. So we're gonna make a drawing in episode 10 of the Langoliers. I mean,
yeah. Everybody knows you want that VHS.
Oh,
copy.
Maybe a pop vinyl. I mean, something cool like that. We did show off some of those early on.
I wonder if they're gonna do pops of the show.
I mean, they're making a season 2, so they probably will.
Damn it! I want to buy those.
So
I want to mention one thing since we're talking about it.
But congratulations, Sarah.
Yes, congratulations, Sarah. Good job.
Well done.
When I was watching the episode and Ruth and Wendell and Henry were all in the kitchen and they see the kid standing outside just being creepy, staring inside. Wendell says, "Who was that?" or "Who is that?" And I really wanted him to say it in a different way, but it wouldn't have made sense. But I really wanted him to be like, "Who is who is it?"
Yeah.
Like I really wanted him to end the sentence with "it."
Yeah.
Just so it would be a little thing in there.
Yeah. I don't. But it didn't.
He didn't say it that way because it wouldn't have made sense. It wouldn't have made sense to say "Who is it?"
Yeah.
You know, when he obviously sees a person.
Exactly.
So you would say, "Who is that?"
But you know,
I wanted some kind of.
I mean, I think they've mentioned Derry already. I don't know. It's within the It universe. Mm-hmm. So then I don't know. Sister towns. There has to have been something It related so far. I believe we've mentioned it. If we haven't, somebody call us on it.
Yeah, let us know.
Also, we'll aim to do better on another group episode. I don't know who's going to be facing who, but hopefully it goes.
Oh,
better.
I love doing the trivia. I just hate how stupid it makes me feel.
Well, when you don't know the answers.
Yeah, but there's always that chance that I'm like, I'm going to nail it.
Yeah, I did re-listen to that segment last night at work, and it was genuinely entertaining. So
yeah,
that's the main goal with something like that.
And you don't want people to be a know-it-all and get all the answers right.
Exactly. And then just rub it in the other person's face. But, and I apologize for rubbing it in even though I didn't actually know any of the answers.
You rubbed it in, so... Mm-hmm.
I know. Maybe you'll get revenge.
Get some Harry Potter trivia.
Exactly. Oh, I did. Okay, so side note of a side note. Now that we're on the subject of Harry Potter, they're making a full Lego set of Hogwarts.
I know.
So
I know.
I feel like you're going to be getting that.
Well, Walmart has their own exclusive Harry Potter line.
I've seen it.
Mattel came out with dolls, and I bought all of them.
Yeah.
There were 6 of them. I bought them all.
Sweet. I think I've seen some of those in your collection.
No, I just bought them.
Oh, okay.
No, like these are full-on Barbie dolls.
Have they shipped yet?
I bought them from the store.
Oh, okay.
They were. I haven't been going into Walmart to grocery shop because they've been using their app, and we finally went in there, which was a huge mistake.
Yeah, because then you see all these things.
They had a huge Harry Potter display, and I'm like, mystery wands. I must have those, mini ones and big ones, of course. And then 6 different Barbie dolls that are all Harry Potter characters.
Yep, buying all those. I mean, if you didn't buy them that day, you wouldn't have ever seen them together again.
Yeah, well, because online they're sold out and they're being sold for way more than they were in
stores.
stores.
So in store is the only possible way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to justify it.
It was totally justified. Now I just need more shelves.
Right. And that is just now you're justifying building more shelves.
Exactly. Eventually, I will have the Harry Potter store in my living room.
Yeah, I mean, it's already looking pretty.
It's pretty sweet.
Stellar.
Yeah.
So, let's see.
We got to bring it back. We gotta do next week's episode.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay,
it's
so
short and sweet.
So Debbie, tell me what the preview is for episode 7.
Okay, it's called The Queen.
Okay.
And all I'm going to tell you, because there was a lot of stuff, all I'm going to tell you is that it's a very Ruth-centric episode. And that's all I'm going to tell you.
That's all you can say?
That's all I'm going to tell. Yes.
You can't say. So
I don't
anything
give
else
anything
would be
away because
oh, wow.
it's a lot of stuff and it's all centered on Ruth.
So this is different than other ones where they gave stuff away.
Yeah, well, I mean,
or not gave stuff away, but like told you more.
Oh, they tell us more. I'm just not telling you more.
Well, I guess that's what I meant. Is that this one is different from other ones? Is like I could watch the other ones potentially and feel okay still watching the episode, but this one you feel like would be too.
I almost didn't want to watch it because I was like, there's so much stuff that could happen because it's a lot of short clips, and you're like, I don't know what any of this means.
So a lot of little taste.
All right,
stuff.
So I'll tell you this. So the very first thing you see is Molly and Ruth. Okay.
Okay.
And Ruth opens the door to the house, and Molly says, "Mrs. Deaver, I think something terrible is going to happen." And Ruth says, "It's happening."
Oh my God. So that references,
and then a whole bunch of shit happens. Exactly.
Yeah, but that references what the kid was saying in one of the first episodes. Is it happening?
Yeah, it's happening.
Oh my God.
It's happening.
God. Oh no.
So.
As I was saying that, I was rolling my eyes. No. Okay, so let's plug the website. WatchItOnTheCouch.com/subscribe. There you will find all the pertinent information for finding our stuff and being able to listen to whatever you want through our website. Let's see. I think that's it, though. That's going to do it for this episode.
Felt good.
Felt pretty good. You're right. I'm going to turn my AC back on now because I can already feeling it starting to get warmer in here.
Because we've been talking.
And I think, does that count as another cat?
He went.
He's trying to get into the trash.
Damn it. I thought we were going to get out of here before another interruption. So that's 4. And I think that ties him with 2 of your cats?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway.
He's not in the lead, though.
Dear Lord. Okay. Well, may not get through the season without coming back here to record again, so he may still be on the board even further after this. And then next week, maybe another group episode. Not really sure yet. Until then, see you next time, everybody. Bye.
Bye.